courses.
Good. I feel like I just feel like this final term has just stretched so much further.
So I think we're live. Olá, pessoal. Estamos aqui com mais um Cálculo de Business Officers, dessa vez com o Emory. E a Giselle está aqui com a gente para falar um pouco sobre o processo de application e dar dicas sobre todo o processo. So now I'm going to speak in English, and I think we can start introducing ourselves. My name is Armando. I'm a sophomore here at Emory. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Fortaleza, and I'm studying business.
I'll go ahead. My name is Arthur. I'm from São Paulo. I'm 19 as well, and I am doing business and econ double major here.
Boa tarde. My name is Giselle Martin. I'm the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Admission here at Emory University.
So can we start by giving a quick overview of the admissions process for Brazilian students?
Sure. So the admissions process, really not just for Brazilian students, but for all students that are considering Emory University, is really quite simple. The only thing is that you really want to start your planning and your thinking about college admissions and that preparation as early as possible. So in your second year or third year of your secundaria, in your high school timeframe. And what it means is that you're not only challenging yourself academically in what your school has to offer, and really go after those teachers that will push you to go deeper in a subject matter and really understand content and the depth of the content, regardless of the area of academic discipline that you might be considering in the future. And really think about how you see your school community, your broader community, in your city, in your town, in your country, and beyond. I think a student that is preparing for admissions in the US is a student that doesn't just have their eyes open, but truly does see what is around them and the broader implications. That's a very sort of broad philosophical aspect of how to prepare. The other piece is you definitely want to let your teachers know, the teachers that really understand who you are as a student, know that you're thinking about applying to schools in the US and at Emory in particular, because they're going to be part of your story. They are going to be writing letters of recommendation for you and share who you are in that classroom environment, right? So it's not just about you preparing for those essays that you will have to write for your college admissions applications, but they are also going to enhance and be part of your narrative. You also, as a student looking to Emory, will have to prepare and think about taking your standardized tests like the SAT or the ACT. And for those of you that are not in full English instruction schools, you will also have to take either the IELTS or the TOEFL prior to December of your last year in high school.
Cool. And why do you think they should apply to Emory in particular?
Well, you know, Emory is not for everybody, right? But students that should look at Emory or should explore Emory further are students that are really living their life with meaning. What you choose to invest your time in is something that has impact for you and probably to others as well. I think the students that are considering Emory, they've realized that their most valuable assets are their voice and their time. And they realize that there is tremendous power in using your voice and your time to do good, whether that is pursuing something in the sciences or in history or in philosophy or in the human condition. right? Or in languages. You want to do good in the world. And those, to me, are the students that should be considering Emory.
And to add on to that, there are many reasons why I love Emory, and Arthur can talk about this too. I think the first one that stands out for me is the people. The people here are amazing. Everyone is so smart. They're so kind. And one of the things I like the most about the people here is that they go out of the way to help you. Is Emory is a competitive school. Everyone here is the best of their classes. In high school, we does really well in all the tests, but everyone here goes out of the way to help you, and that's something that is amazing. People here um, uh, really connect. They're not. It's not about comparing. They really try to connect to each other and try to get the best out of it. And also, we can talk many other things. The campus here is amazing. The weather. Anything you?
Especially something that really made the adaptation to the U.S. easier for me was the Brazilian community here. We're a very tight knit group, and we are more than like welcoming all people who want to join Brazil or not, Brazilian or not. But that's definitely something that enhanced my experience here.
Yeah, you're far away from home, thousands of kilometers away from home, in fact, but you also have a piece of home with you. And we also like do many events throughout campus. We had Brazuski this year, which we brought Hugo Gloss, Pedro Malan to speak here at Emory, which was really cool. So my next question is about financial aid. If someone doesn't have the resources to pay for their Emory education, what should they do?
Well, that's a great question, especially as, of course, in the national landscape of higher education, prices continue to increase in the competitiveness, right? And so two things. One is you have to think about, are you a US citizen or dual US citizen and Brazilian citizen in Brazil, or are you a non-US citizen at all? And those are two very different communities that could exist in Brazil looking at Emory. So for the US citizens that are in Brazil, the financial aid process is you fill out the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and the CSS profile, right? You do that as you are applying for admission. You do not wait until you have received an admission decision to apply for financial aid. Okay. There's also merit-based scholarship. And for that, you have to apply a little tiny bit early. Typically, November 15th is the deadline of your senior year. And most of you may be graduating in December. So, and if you're taking out those, IB tests, you have to jam pack and really, really prepare that last year in order to get those results in and those applications done. For students that are non-US citizens, right? We do offer need-based financial aid for non-US citizens. It is very competitive and we are need aware. And what that means is two things. One is if you have financial need, you do need to let us know of that when you apply for admission. If you do not let us know that you have financial need and you do get admitted, after we say, yes, you're admitted, we cannot provide financial aid because we've already budgeted what we're going to give, okay? So please keep that in mind. Also, when we do give financial need-based aid, particularly for international students, we are budgeting that for all 4 years of their academic experience while they are at Emory. So again, you have to let us know by saying, yes, I'm looking for need-based financial aid on the application. It's an easy yes or no question. You also fill out the CSS profile, which your parents can help you fill that out. Use the resources of your college counselor to fill that out as well. And we also request that you submit the FIF, the financial certificate form as well. All those things help us help you financially. And of course, Merit Aid is open to all students regardless of citizenship.
Yeah, and that's my next question. If someone has the resources to pay for Emory, but they still want to be considered for a merit scholarship, do they need to do something?
So if a student has the financial means to pay for an Emory education and doesn't need need-based financial aid, but would like to be considered for merit aid, then all you have to do is submit your application by November 15th and do amazing, incredible things that impact humanity. That's all.
And that's the Scholars Program, right?
That is the Emory University Scholars Program. Those are our Woodruff Scholars, our Goizueta Scholars for the business school, and our Oxford Scholars as well.
Nice. And to add to that, Emory is one of the few schools I know that give merit scholarships after your first year at the college. For me, I had a 80% scholarship when I got to Emory, but then I applied again for merit scholarship after my first year, and now I have 100% of financial aid for my tuition. So that's really cool.
He's also exceptional. I'm just going to put that out there.
Regarding standardized tests, is there a cutoff for the SAT or ACT, or a range that Emory looks for?
In regards to the actual scores?
The scores, yes.
You know, I mean, I think you definitely want to be competitive. I mean, we get students that from even on a testing perspective are very competitive, right? And that's, you can find all of those details and stats better than I could memorize them, because I don't, on our website, on our admission website. But I will tell you that we definitely understand the fact that not all students that are coming from outside of the US are prepared for what is essentially a US-based exam, right? So if you take the SAT or ACT, you know, as long as you feel like it's indicative of one aspect of your curriculum and your GPA, your grade point average at your school, that needs to be, that I make no concessions on, right? That needs to be up here. But I will tell you that we have certainly taken students that are in the lower 600 ranges of the SAT. And typically it's always so fascinating, right? Because maybe math is their forte, so their math scores are actually much higher than maybe their verbal, which makes sense since you're not native English speakers, or vice versa. You might be really interested in English literature and things of that nature, and your English and scores might really kind of tip you over on that side. But we are looking at admissions and the student in much deeper ways than just tests. These are real humans that are here, and you can't test humanity. You know, you talked a little bit about the kindness of the students that are here on campus, and you know, that's not something that you can quantify with a number, but I will tell you that it is definitely something that we look for in the letters of recommendations and in your writing and what you've sort of been engaged with, is that there's a good human there, because that sense of community is very important to us.
Speaking of the writing aspect of the application, are there any specific tips you would give for the essay portion? Essays specifically, Emory, the supplements Emory asks for?
We work all summer long to make the selections on the supplemental questions. There's typically about 5. Students choose 2 of them. You know, use the standard essay as well as the supplements to tell us something we don't know about you. You know, it's difficult because when I think about the Brazilian culture overall, you're not necessarily used to speaking about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And those essays, that is essentially what we want you to do. We actually want you to go completely outside your comfort zone and tell us something about yourself that maybe your own family doesn't really see or understand, or it may be something that you spend, time really thinking about and want to explore more. It's use those opportunities as a chance to sort of open up your head and your brain, and just letting us kind of go a little bit deeper in there. Take a little bit of a risk in what you share there. Don't be afraid to share an opinion and stand by that opinion. We fully understand that you're looking at higher education. Opinions may shift with the more you know, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, tell us something a little bit about yourself. That's how we learn. That's how we see you.
And some of our mentees at BRASA Pré sent us some questions that I'm going to read for you. Do I have a higher chance of being accepted if I apply early decision too?
So early decision and regular decision are two very different cycles, in the fact that if you apply early decision, you are essentially saying, look, Emory, this is like marriage to me. I have dated all these other universities. I know what they are all about. And Emory is where I want to be at the altar. So if Emory, you say yes, we're going to meet at the altar and we are essentially getting married. And I am then, as a student applicant, going to withdraw all my applications from all the other schools that I've applied to. And I'm all about Emory, right? So it's a commitment. And we know that that is absolutely something that you're thinking about when you make the choice to do early decision, whether it's early decision 1 or early decision 2. At regular decision, we fully understand that you're going to weigh all your options across the board, right? And that is perfectly fine. The interesting thing is that we actually, if you think about volume, like total number of admits, we actually admit more students numerically in regular decision, right? But you're also talking about a much bigger pool that is in regular decision, right? So this is what I would say. When you're choosing which decision plan to go for, make sure that it's one that makes sense to you, right? Early decision is not for everybody. If you want to weigh your options and see all the offers that you're going to receive, don't apply early decision somewhere. Take your chances, do regular decision. But if you know and you've had the conversation about finances with your family and you feel comfortable in that arena, you've done the estimated family contribution potentially assessment on the financial aid website, by all means, apply early decision. But it really is a very personal choice.
And if you guys who are watching right now have any questions, feel free to type in the chat in the YouTube.
The second question is, if I was deferred or waitlisted, is there anything I can do to increase my chance of being accepted?
So we really limit how many students actually get deferred, okay? And we only defer in early decision 1 and early decision 2. We don't do that for too many students. And when we do defer students in early decision 1 or early decision 2, we typically have conversations with either the college counselor or the student individually, and essentially set the expectation for what we would like to see moving forward, right? It could be grades, it could be something that we need a little bit more information on, okay? For waitlist, we, again, don't typically waitlist that many students. We really like for students to get their decisions and move on with their decisions. We are very transparent in terms of what our expectations are if you are waitlisted, and how to share any additional information that you may want to share with us, whether it be an accomplishment or a club or organization that you've essentially enhanced or expanded, or additional grades that you want to give, or letters of recommendations. Those are all things that you can do, but it still doesn't guarantee admission, right? What I will say is this: if we do an offer of a wait list, again, we don't do a whole lot of them, but that is a signal to you that, boy, if we had capacity here, if we had bed for you, we would have admitted you. You are a solid, really wonderful student that we know would do really great at Emory in the future. So maybe graduate school too is an option.
And if you could change one thing about Emory, what would it be?
That's a hard one.
That is a hard one. Honestly, for me, what I would say is we have really committed leadership on this campus that really believe in the work that they're doing. And I think I think about our office in particular, we have a tremendous staff that is so committed to our work that sometimes it's actually hard to step outside our offices and actually get into the campus and spend more time on campus, really experiencing all of the incredible speakers that have come to campus and that are constantly here. From His Holiness the Dalai Lama to, my goodness, we had the speaker that came during BRASA.
Yeah, many amazing speakers. We had Rachel Maya,
Pedro Malan,
who was. Lusa was going to come, but she couldn't. She had a problem with the Justice Court, and we had amazing speakers. Yeah.
And then, like, the chair of the history department, Jeffrey Lesser here at Emory, is actually one of the top Brazilian historical academics. And I would love to sit in on more classes and more lectures. And I need to make sure that I make the time. My commitment is in that for this next semester. So making the time on my side is probably what I would say.
What would you change, Mark?
I'm really not sure right now. I would change the weather, as you said earlier. I really and I would love for us to have a reading period, a bigger reading period, which other universities typically have, but we make up for it in so many other areas.
But why don't you take that to the dean of the college and propose that?
I should.
You should.
Yeah, I had one day to say it's too short.
No, then you guys should absolutely band together. I'm sure you're not the only ones that feel that way.
Probably.
Dean Elliott, by the way, the Brazilian students are coming for you. But that's one thing that I will say I love about this campus is that they actually listen to the students and they listen to us about how to make this place better. And just to counter, the only thing about the weather is typically great.
It is.
But it's just rainy and gloomy today.
We're just spoiled.
We are spoiled. This is typically sunny and beautiful.
Yeah, and for me, I think besides having more Brazilians on campus, even more, I think the construction, there's a lot of construction going on right now, which is kind of not good for us. But for you guys who are coming next year, there's going to be a whole new campus life center, which will be amazing. Yeah. The other question they asked was, if I get a little bit lower than 100 on the TOEFL, should I still apply to Emory, or am I?
No, absolutely. Absolutely apply. I think to be competitive from a TOEFL perspective, I've seen anything above, I would say above a 94 is competitive. And one of the things that we've been doing too is that now we have interviews by alums in places like Sao Paulo and Rio. And so, that's also an option for students too.
Yeah, and I got a 96 my first time I took it. The first time I took the TOEFL, and I studied for like 2 weeks, and I was able to improve that. So I don't think like the TOEFL says that much about someone, like how well they speak English. So if that's a problem for you, I think if you have like a little below 100%, you should definitely apply. Yeah, you wouldn't be you could totally like follow the classes in English. And the other question was what are some characteristics that every Emory accepted student has?
Um, that's, I will say that that's a really difficult question because you're talking about a really, really diverse admitted student pool for both Emory College and Oxford College. I think about just the international pool, the incoming first year students that came in this year, respectively for Emory College and Oxford College, it was about 17, 18% from about 80 different countries. So, think about that for just a second. That's just the first year class. I think that the theme of the students that are admitted, by and large, is that they're good humans. And we started this conversation talking about the fact that the students that I think are attracted to Emory come to Emory because they're looking for an academic experience that is real, that is meaningful, and that you are with a community that is not afraid to live below the surface. And you both of you mentioned that this is, yes, a competitive place, and it is, but it is compassionately competitive, and that I think is something that is really very common across our students.
And you mentioned Oxford College and Emory College. Would you mind like explaining the difference between
Yeah,
how it works?
absolutely. So we are very fortunate to have not one liberal arts college, but two liberal arts college. And it really goes back to how the university actually got started. Emory was actually born at Oxford College, which is about 45 minutes east of Atlanta, and still kept that campus, even though back in 1915, we actually started this research hub in Atlanta, which is the campus that we are at today, which is what has Emory College, the medical school is here, the law school is here, the Graduação Business School, the nursing school is here, the theology school is here. This is the research hub, right? The nice thing about having two liberal arts colleges is the fact that it really is about how do you learn, right? Oxford College only has students that stay there for their first year and their second year. There's less than 1,000 students, so a lot of leadership development, a tremendous amount of one-on-one, small class sizes, and then junior and senior year, those Oxford students continue on, no application, no anything, because they're Emory University students, onto the Atlanta campus, right? And then the Atlanta campus has a first year student population that is larger than Oxford College, right? And so there's roughly about 5,000 undergraduate students here. And think of this as a research hub, Your largest class at Emory College, well, I heard recently that the exception is this one class on death and dying that has about 230 students. It's a must before you graduate. It is a philosophical, ethical class on death and dying. I know that sounds super morbid, but it is actually one of the most beloved classes on campus because of the philosophy behind. But the largest class you'll have at Emory is maybe 120 students or so.
Yeah. And I think that's all for the questions. Do you have like a final message for all the students who are watching this video?
For all the students that are watching this video, you know, I remember coming on this campus about 6 years ago and maybe counting on one hand how many Brazilian students were here. And I remember saying, we need to change that because the talent in Brazil is growing and it is passionate and it would be so vibrant on this campus. And now it has turned to a much larger community for sure, way beyond my two hands. And on top of that, to be able to say that we hosted the BRASA National Conference here and to showcase the leadership that exists on this campus is really exciting. I think it's a wonderful transition from Brazil to come to direct flight to Atlanta, which is typically the case. You will find a welcoming community, but that is going to really push your boundaries and push your way of thinking in all the good ways. And for the parents that are there, I think one thing that you could rest assured with is the fact that we really care about your sons and your daughters, and we go out of our way to make sure that they are taken care of and really nurturing them in all the different pursuits that they might have. So the world gets wider when you come to Emory, and that's a good thing.
Thank you so much, Giselle, for participating in this call. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to put my contact and Arthur's contact in the description and Giselle's contact in the description of this video. Follow us on Instagram, BRASA@Emory, and on Facebook too. And let us know if you have any questions. We're more than willing to help you. And good luck with the rest of the application into the people who are applying next year. Thank you.